If you're having trouble reading, hear me out for a minute. You're probably reading the wrong stuff. It was when I was young, I loved reading. Like, I loved it. Book fairs, I was getting all the things I could for $5. Get the most for your buck. Anyway, somewhere along the line, I lost my love of reading until 2008 when a friend named Kim came from New Jersey and we had a girls' trip. We went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, just her and I. And at the end of our trip, she said, hey, can we go to the bookstore? I said, sure. My kids love books. I had a house full of books, a lot of stuff I wasn't reading, but it was there. So she said, let's go to the bookstore. I said, well, you go ahead. I'm going to go to the cafe. You go ahead and browse and I'll be good whenever. So she says, well, why? And I was like, because I don't really like reading. She was like, why don't you like reading? Like, it was foreign to her. And I was like, I just haven't found anything that I really like that really resonates with me. And she was like, well, what kind of books are you reading? So I started explaining to her that my friends had recommended all of these books and that every time I read them, I was like, not for me, not for me, not for me. So she says, well, I think you're reading the wrong stuff. And I was like, huh? She's like, I think you're reading the wrong stuff. And I'm like, how can you read the wrong stuff, And she was like, can I recommend a couple of books for you? A couple of authors. And I was like, well, sure. So she goes to the book thing and she comes back with these two authors who don't look like me. They look like her. They don't look like me. So I looked at her and I'm like, she goes, just trust me. Based on everything that you told me, I think that you would like them. So I'm like, okay. She was like, I'll buy them for you, but you got to promise me to read them. And I said, okay, all right, I'll promise. I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to try. She said, that's all I'm asking. So she buys the books for me. We go our separate ways. I get home and I had to have a procedure done. So I'm down for a little bit. I knew my promise. She bought them for me. So I opened up the books and started reading. Well, I couldn't put the books down. I'm like in pain, trying to, lay up, and I couldn't get comfortable. Then I'm like trying to switch sides. I'm leaning over. My ex-husband, he'd be sleeping in the bed, and I'm like trying to turn on a little light so I could finish it. And it just hooked me. It was Kristen Hannah Wintergarten. Hooked me and those hooks never came out. So she called me a couple days later and she says, did you read the books? Or, have you started? And I was like, girl, I'm done with one, on to the next. She's like, what? I said, oh my gosh, I never knew that I would love these books. And it come to find out I was reading the wrong stuff. My friends were recommending things to me based on who they thought I am, based on, this and other things. But it wasn't what resonated with me. So then I said, okay, let me explore a little bit. Let me try something else. So I was in college and I took an anthropology class. Sociology. I love sociology and anthropology. So I started getting these cultural pieces. And in high school, I never read a book from any required reading from start to finish. I got Cliff's Notes. I looked up stuff or whatever at the library, but I never read a book from front to back cover. But that all changed, right? When this started happening, I would get these books and I would just be hooked because I knew what resonated with me. And it wasn't books that a lot of my friends read. And they were like, girl, what is that? And who is that? I never heard of that. Then I was like, I like suspense and stuff like that. I'm an action person. So I started getting into James Patterson and Dan Brown and stuff like that. And I was like, I really like this stuff. Hook me, hook me, hook me. And I would get all the series. And then reading just became a thing for me. So if you're struggling with reading, I maybe suggest to you that you're reading the wrong stuff. That maybe you should explore a little bit. Sit down, think about what you like, whether it's travel, whether it's suspense, sci-fi, whether it's cultural stuff, maybe it's even gardening. And there are so many people, maybe it's Christian books. And a lot of the personal developments books that I like, they all have a spiritual basis to it. Even though it doesn't outright say it, I know that they resonate with me because I can tie it back to what means the most to me, my faith. So, I would encourage you to spread your wings, or open up your lens, try different genres and see what resonates with you, because you might be pleasantly surprised and that spark or that love for reading may be reignited. And I hope that for you, because it is a whole new world in books, you guys, a whole new world. And I encourage you to go explore it.